the Buccaneers at the Lions. This is going to be a fun game. I don't think anyone really expected Okay, let me actually, before we get into it, who are you taking in this game?
See, I'll say this, though. Honestly, I think we expected the Bucs to be here. Like
We
definitely expected the
both
Bucs.
expected them.
What made the Saints losing to not make the playoffs hurt even more is that I know that they would have got their ass kicked, but at least I would have seen them in the slot this week. Anyways, NFC South troubles. But bottom line is, yeah, the Bucs played a hell of a game against the Eagles. You got to give major credit to them, regardless of the fact that we thought they were going to win. I didn't think they were going to outright dominate them the way they did. So huge credit to Todd Bowles and Baker for getting themselves off the hot seats. You got to love it. Didn't fold under pressure. Man, Todd Bowles, masterclass the second half of this year, no doubt about it. Even when you didn't have the fans on your side. But anyways, back to today and what we're getting into on the 21st here, this upcoming weekend. I think, realistically, I don't really think that the Lions have – here's my thing. So it's like the only chance they have to fold this game is if they get in their own head. If they show up and be the team that we know that they are and run the offense that they've been running all year and get the Bucs moving and get everybody out in space – I'm sorry. There's just no way the Lions fold this game. But if they get into mental mistakes mode and they're fumbling snaps and they're fumbling handoffs and they're losing the ball and they're slipping and sliding and dropping passes over the middle, it could be anybody's game. But my bottom line is, yeah, if the Lions come and play good fundamental football like they have most of the year, this is definitely a game the Lions win almost every matchup across the board.
Honestly, this is probably my favorite game of the week. I think it is two teams that are strictly so juiced up because of no one's expecting the Bucs to be here. And the Lions are in the playoffs for however long. They just got their first playoff win in 30 years. These two teams, Baker is out with something to prove. And I need to talk more through this before I decide who I'm going to take. But if we go back we can go over the Eagles game a little bit. Like you said, we both knew the Bucs were going to win because it's just they fell apart. I mean, Baker Mayfield, 337 yards and 3 touchdowns. Nasty work. Nasty work by Dave Canales. Nasty work.
It's just I'm going to have to get into the Eagles' defensive coordinator situation in a sec because Matt Patricia's shit class. Oh, man, Matt Patricia got the second shot in the league after I don't really know why. I don't really know what else got. I don't know what he obviously has qualities that some teams wanted. I would say after how he went out, I don't know how he reeled himself back in. But we see now, this is why I don't know how he reeled himself back in. Because Matt Patricia defenses, man, for as long as I can remember, and even when he won the Super Bowl with his defenses, it was always the Patriots offense was number 1 in the league. If you want a little historian stuff. But anyways, yeah, I'm sorry. Eagles, what were you doing changing from Desai? It was so true that I don't think maybe the biggest overreaction in history. Yeah, they were playing not great defense for a few games. But to switch the coordinator when you got 1 or 2 losses and then to go 1-5, it's just this year from the Eagles is a historically bad collapse. From the decision-making to the results. It's how did you end up in this position? Sending Jason Kelsey out so fucking sad.
I think it's also bad because it's you can tell that the reason the Eagles were so good were because of Gannon and Shane last year, and it's man, that Jalen Hurts contract, if he does not play well next year, is going to look very, very tough. And I mean, Devonta Smith, what a dog! To be able to do that when you have your, I guess, number 1. I mean, Devonta Smith would be a wide receiver 1 on a lot of other teams. But to do that without A.J. Brown is impressive. But just, this isn't about the Eagles. I think their collapse is one of the worst things I've ever seen in a team. I think it's kind of like when the Steelers went 11-0. But
they felt fake.
Yeah, they really felt fake. This year, the Eagles sometimes really turned it on. But I think we kind of knew what it was coming to. And they're in a really tough spot. So, but with the way, Todd Bowles was dialing it up, Baker Mayfield was on fire, and I think if they just stay true, because here's my thing. The Lions are a team, like you were saying, that can get in their own head. They're a team to me that strikes me they can get in over their head, and the lights may be too bright. I don't really see how the lights are too bright for the Buccaneers. They're not supposed to be here. They barely won their division. They were counted out. Everyone
this is house money for real.
This is literally house money.
This is the definition.
And dude, I think I might lean the Bucs this game. Like, the Detroit Lions are the more talented team. They really are, and they really should win this game. The line is almost a touchdown. Like, you don't really see touchdown lines in the playoffs that much, but, like, dude, I mean, if we go back to the Lions-Rams game, that was a good game. Matt Stafford, 367 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jared Goff, 277 yards and a touchdown. Neither team really got the run game going. It was the Puka Nacua and Amon-Ra St. Brown show. But
Puka's just different. Side note.
Is different. But at the end of the day, like, the Lions, I felt, obviously, were the more complete team in terms of roster. But they were very close to being outcoached and outplayed at the quarterback position.
No, yeah. Well, again, back to what we were already afraid of, and this was a prime example, prime game of it, where he played fine. Don't get me wrong. He did enough, obviously, to get the job done. But every snap he was under pressure, good things weren't happening. Like, man, if you're the Lions, you have got to come up with the most crystal, perfect, amazing, 09 Saints-esque protection plan for your quarterback, because he cannot be back there. Jared Goff is different than a lot of QBs. He's playing lights out when he's not getting hit and he's not rattled. When he's rattled, it's not the same Jared Goff. And we already know the reality of the situation is, man, if you are going to win the Super Bowl, Jared Goff's got to be basically getting protection 99.9% of snaps. Like, whatever you got to do to fight back against that Bucs blitz that we know is going to be coming. That's another thing. It's going to be more of what it was last week. The Bucs are going to abuse them with the blitz, and they're going to say, you know what, I'm either going to go out dying on my favorite sword, or we're going to die on the sword. Like, there's no, we're either going to live on the sword, die by the sword, and they're going to send the blitz all the time. And
that's what I think Todd Bowles is going to do a lot this game. I think they're going to be blitzing Jared Goff quite a bit. I think they're going to try to make him as uncomfortable as they can. And, like, the way the Bucs defense is blowing up the run game, like, that's what's also concerning to me is, like, the way the Bucs are playing on defense. Like, if they just try to replicate that game plan, I'm going to have a very hard time trying to figure out how the Lions are going to beat that.
That's the thing, too, is the Lions have showed us.
Because also, let me say this. Baker was questionable with a rib and ankle injury and did that.
Baker's just one of the toughest sons of bitches in the league. He would claim that title, too.
Baker needs his respect.
That's a term of endearment. In this case, being a son of a bitch is a clear term of endearment. Baker would understand completely. But anyways, what I'm saying is, yeah, look, the reality is I'm not going to count him out at all. The Bucs could come in there house money style and win. I want to just here's my thing is that I want to propose. Because this is very random, but I'm going to, Bucs fans, I think, would agree that there's some merit to this. In a weird way, though, could this playoff run have, like, negative implications on the future?
Yes,
because
I was thinking this.
Back to, like, it's the same thing as if the Saints were in this position. Like, nobody on the staff would have just gotten fired today. And it's like, you know what I mean? You kind of use the Eagles as, like, a big, like, what do you do with the Eagles were? It's like a trampoline to reaffirm, like, all the things you already thought weren't true. But it's like, in reality, it's probably just because Eagles are so bad. And it's like, that's why I'm saying I also wouldn't be surprised. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucs could pull off the craziest upset, but I also wouldn't be surprised. The more likely thing, in my opinion, is if the Lions can kind of just give them work, and we're like, yeah,
this is what was supposed to happen.
That's how bad the Eagles are, so, and it's like,
here's my thing. So while we were saying the Bucs, like, here's the thing: Lions win this game, that's awesome. They should. That's great. They've been a good team all year. Lions lose this game. We're making great progress. We won a playoff game. We went to the set. We haven't done this in so long. Positives all around, regardless if you lose.
It would sting like a bitch, but it's positives all around.
But it's like, you can't be, like, as a Lions fan, like, you can be upset, but at the end of the day, like, you have to realize, like, this is real progress your franchise has made, and, like, going forward, like, you guys have a real chance to compete for a Super Bowl next year. With the Buccaneers, they are playing with house money, but it also is a point where it's like, Baker's going to want to get paid.
And they've shown so many glaring issues that haven't been fixed all year.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of like they are very similar to a lot of teams that could have been in the same position as them. That's what I'm saying and this is my thing, and I'm saying, and I think every fan would agree, Bucs fans would agree, Eagles fans would agree. It doesn't really matter who you put against the Eagles this last week. I think almost anybody that was in that borderline playoff wildcard range would have gone in there and punched him in the mouth. That's how much the Eagles didn't want to play football, and that's how much that they aren't playing together right now. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's a tough evaluation. And I'm not trying to take anything away from the Bucs. Hell of a win, amazing story, and it's great no matter what. You're feeling great right now. You should. There's nothing to take away from that. I'm just saying for the future, is definitely something to keep your eye on, because then maybe you're kind of delaying at least a year of what would have been the firings and what would have been the changes if they didn't make the playoffs.
Because Baker is going to want to get paid, and this definitely is a positive on Todd Bowles' resume. So if you guys are preaching for quarterback change and coaching change, it's not going to happen next year after what they did after, putting together this team. So before we move on to the next game, is there any kind of final thoughts you want to go? I think I'm going to go Tampa just because I think they have more of the wild card factor.
I'm going to go Lions, and I'm going to say, this is my final thought. If the Lions are going to lose this year in the playoffs, don't make it this week. Make it next week, because you guys really should win this one.